years of performances behind him, 5 gold albums and 76 hit-recorded albums, the King of the Flat Top is saying farewell to the country music scene. This week, TFTE takes you to Shakey's Pub, where we caught up with one of Canada's legends in country music, Smiley Bates.
Oh, Smiley, we're so happy to have you on That's Entertainment. First thing I'm going to ask you is your name in fact Smiley?
Well, it's the only one that's been used, and if there's another one, nobody ever knew what it was. So.
How did you get that name?
Well, it happened a long time ago when I was just a little fella. I started playing fiddle for a band called Curly Carter and the Mountaineers, and I played fiddle for 2 years for them, and I used to seriously stand back in the corner and just play fiddle. And I never ever smiled, so they just tacked that name on me, and it stuck there ever since.
Well, things have changed.
Now
you're smiling all the time. Tell us a little story about your first banjo, was it? The baseball bat.
The baseball bat. Well, yeah, that's a long story. Years and years ago, like where I come from, we didn't have a lot of money. We were kind of poor, and I liked the fiddle, and I didn't have one at that time. But it was a baseball bat sitting in the corner one day, and I was looking at that, and I thought, boy, that looks like the neck of a fiddle. If a fella could just get some strings on that and get some sound out of there, he could do some playing. So I started working on that, and I put it together, and it finally did work, and I electrified it after that part. And we started using it on the show, and people got a lot of kick out of it, and we still use it today. It's been around for a lot of years.
Wow. You've been performing for 40 years.
40 years.
That's a lot of performances all over Canada, into the States. What's changed?
In the music industry?
In the music industry, what's changed for you?
Well, we eat less cold pork and beans now, for one thing. And I guess many, many things have changed. Like at one time, back in that time, there was very few people that was in the music business, so opportunities and things of places to play were scarce, but in some ways greater than they are today, because there wasn't that many artists. Because now you got them coming out of the woodwork every morning when you get up. There's 10 new artists on the market, so it's changed greatly over the years. Like, and I've been fortunate to be around to see all the changes.
Do you remember your first stage performance? What was it like?
Yeah, I certainly do. I played for a dance when I was 5 years old with my dad and my mother. And in them days, that was back in the old halls. There was no microphones, no sound systems. You just stood up there and played. And I was the scaredest little guy in the world. It looked to me like there was 10 million people out there, and there was likely only 15. So
wow.
It looked different at that time. Now, if you play on the stage, the more people you got out there, you better you feel.
That's right. At what point did you decide that this was going to be a full-time thing for you?
The first time I walked on the stage.
You knew it felt right.
That's what I wanted to do. And I always said over the years I've been fortunate, because I guess a lot of people go to work every morning, and some of them hate their job. I was able to make my living and become successful at what I did, so I got to do what I wanted for a living, and if I had to do it all over again, I guess I would likely do the same thing, with the good and the bad things that happen.
Out of 5 gold albums and 76 hit recorded, albums. If you had to choose your own favorite from your own collection, what would it be?
Of the songs that I've recorded, I guess I would have to say a number that I recorded some time ago. It's called, it's as a matter of fact the title of one of my albums called The House of Shame.
Why is that?
Well, it's written about something that I've seen and witnessed many times. It's about an old folks' home, and what happens to people when they become unable to do things on their own and they get put away, and a lot of people just put them in a corner and forget them. And it tells quite a story if you hear the whole story. A friend of mine once said when he first heard it that it was the only thing he had ever heard in life that would bring tears to his glass eye.
If you listen truly, this is one of the truest and finest songs that was ever put on a paper. I spent many, many years in this business, and I played many charity shows and worked in many places to raise money for crippled children, and on our days off we sometimes spent them doing shows for old folks' homes and many different societies, and this is one of the numbers that was the most requested that I think I ever done throughout the years. I was asked to do it tonight. We'd like to, if everybody wants to be silent and listen, we'll do it for you, because if you don't hear the whole story, it ain't much good to you. And it's called The House of Shame. There's nothing unusual about the way my day begins. As I walk up and down the street with my mail pouch in my hands, I've run this route for years now. Everybody knows my name, especially at the old folks' home, which I call the House of Shame. The old folks' home is my last stop. That's where I end my daily route. And my mail pouch is usually empty by then. Not always, but just about. Except for an occasional letter, and they all wait anxiously, with sad eyes that ask the question, is there anything for me? I spend many hours there, at the end of each day's run, trying in some way to fill the place of a daughter or a son. Their old and wrinkled faces and hair as white as snow, and memories locked up in their minds that only they can know. And though it's reality, it seems more like a dream, that some of them have grandchildren that they've never even seen. And I think it's such a shame that the children that they have raised would put them in this house of shame to spend their latter days. So there they said, just waiting for letters they never get, waiting for children that never come by, just waiting to die. You see, my folks are old now too, and we put them in a home, but the difference is they live with us, and they'll never be alone.
What about your fans? What do they request the most of you?
Well, now, for some reason or another, that's the strangest thing that ever come about. We've talked it over at the recording company many times. I don't know what it is, but for some reason people like to be sad. Or I guess maybe it just gets rid of all the things that's hurting them. And I got known as the king of hurting music.
Yes.
For the reason that I do all sad songs. And I never could figure out why hurting made you feel so good, but it must make people feel good because they want to keep doing it. So,
or maybe because they don't feel alone anymore, you know? Maybe it's like, I'm not the only one who feels this way. Somebody understands,
right.
yeah.
It's, I guess it's reality. It's a part of life itself, and everybody goes through it. Like, there's none of us beyond being sad. We all have a bad day somewhere along the road.
Our little boy knocked at the warden's door, a sing-sing and in tears. Said, sir, I understand that 83968 lives here. Well, that's my daddy, sir, and I've just got to be with him. If you can't let him out, you've just got to let me in. Let me in, let me in. 83968's my dad. I watched him bury my mama. Now he's all the world I have. I can break your little rocks on a hammer in my hand. I've just got to be near Daddy. Mr. Warden, let me in. While I check through California, Alcatraz, out on the rock, from Folsom all to Leavenworth, but no one had my pop. Then I found the old news clippings in my mama's souvenirs. Now here I am at Sing Sing, 83968 lives here. Let me in, let me in. 83968's my dad. I watched him bury my mama. Now he's all the world I have. I can break your little rocks on a hammer in my hand. I've just got to be near Daddy. Mr. Warden, let me in.
How do you perceive your music? How would you describe it?
How would I describe it? Now, there's a real good question. I guess it's a lot from the way I feel, the miles I've traveled, what I've lived through, and what I've seen other people live through. And I guess maybe that's what makes my music the way it is.
What do you think has made you stand out among other Canadian country performers? Why do people like you so much?
I'm glad that they do. I guess mostly because the things that I did record and the stuff I do on shows is because it's things that happen in daily life. Like it happens to everybody. The working man, the rich man, the poor man. I always said, like, I have performed in many capacities, from millionaires to Skid Row. The only thing that really makes the difference between the two of them is money, because we all bleed the same color and we all hurt in the same fashion. So I guess that's what made people like what I did, because it was a part of them.
Now this is a huge Canadian tour that you're doing, this farewell tour, and you're not doing it alone.
No.
You have Cliff Jules and the Country Jewel
Yes,
with
sir.
you. Hi, Cliff.
Hi.
Welcome to the show. Cliff, how did you get involved in this tour?
Well, I've known my friend Smiley for a number of years, and last winter the phone rang one morning and I picked it up and was Smiley on the other end, and he tells me he's going to do a farewell tour and he'd like for me to be part of it, so I jumped in joy and here I am. That's how it
Now,
happened.
this isn't the first time that you've
No, I've
played
toured
with
with
Smiley.
Smiley before. Yes, we've done several tours together, and very successful tours, and really enjoyed it. We enjoyed working with Smiley because he's such a great guy to work with. What more can you say? He's just a terrific person. So when you go on a road with a person like Smiley Bates, well, you're on the road with the best, the greatest. So
You've opened up for a lot of bands.
yes, I've opened up for quite a few stars. Yeah.
Like who?
Dave Dudley, Sonny James, people like that.
And you're based in Moncton?
Yes,
You're
right
based
now
in
I-
Moncton, New
yeah.
Brunswick? And there's something really exciting coming up in Moncton
Yes.
in the future.
There's a big country music jamboree or extravaganza coming on at Renewce Mills, St. Anthony area, and Gene Watson, Tom Wopat,
The Kendalls?
the Kendalls, Jet Williams, which is Hank Williams' daughter.
That's right.
They're all going to be on the show, and as far as we know right now, Smiley Bates and Cliff Jewell and the Country Jewels are going to be on it. If we can cut our schedule down so we can get there, because we certainly want to be on it, and it's going to be quite a jamboree for 3 days.
Wow, that sounds really exciting. Now, what kind of music exactly do the Country Jewels do? Do you consider yourself country rock or?
No, we do a lot of our own material, like I write a lot of songs, we do them, and then the band themselves, if they do dance music, well, they'll do dance music, whatever the crowd likes they do, but we're basically country.
So you just
We love
released a new
country.
album?
Yes, I just done a new album called Memories, about a song I wrote about a very dear friend of mine that passed away, and the song is called Memories, so is the album, and Smiley got me a contract with Condor Records, which is the record company he records for, and just released, just come out a week ago, and just hit the market now. We have it on the store, in fact, for sale, so quite pleased with it.
Very good, very good. What's next?
I don't
From
know
here,
for
this
sure.
is the kickoff.
This is such a great feeling to be touring with a legend on his farewell tour that I don't know what's next. Well, who can tell? Who knows? You know, it's we leave here in St. John, New Brunswick, and we go to Sussex. Tomorrow night we're there, and the following night we're in Hillsborough, New Brunswick, then Chatham, New Brunswick. Then we go to PI for a week. Charlottetown, Summerside, Montague, O'Leary, I believe, or Tignish. Then from there we go into Cape Breton, I believe, for a week. And from Cape Breton out we go into New Glasgow, Truro area, Parisbro, surrounding areas like that. And then we go up through the valley, so sure Nova Scotia and out through there. And there's a few places once to go back the second time, and a month's time, and when we're finished, those dates will take us back again, because a lot of them want to hold us over 2 or 3 nights, and we just couldn't because the tour is scheduled, and so they want us back. A lot of the shows I hear already is sold out. They want us the second night. We can't stay the second night because we're scheduled to go somewhere else, and we just can't break those engagements. But several shows so far is sold totally out after a couple of days. Tickets being on sale, they were gone, sold out.
What are we looking at here? How long of a tour is this? We looking at 2 or 3 months?
This is
or?
about a 2.5-month tour, yeah.
That's quite a time.
Yeah, it's we generally play 5 to 6 nights a week, and then have a night off or a day off, and some weeks we have 2 days off, and we need them when we do have them off. And
Sure.
We appreciate them.
And it's not unusual for either of you to be touring 6 months or more out of the year, is that correct?
That's correct, yeah.
What is that like for your families? Like that
Well,
must be
my
quite
family's
hard.
all growing up, and they come and they see a lot of the tour when
That's
we're
good.
on tour. Yeah, they
Yeah.
come and they a couple of my daughters are singers, so whenever they have a chance to catch us when we're handy, they do, and we say hi. We talk on the phone often. I call my children every week and say hi to them, whatever. So, but they're all adults now, so they gotta get rid of their daddy for a while.
That's right. Cliff, if you had to choose one of your own or one of the Jewels' favorite tunes, what would it be?
It's a song I wrote. Like I said, Memories. It's about a dear friend of mine
This
passed
is the
away.
new one, eh?
Yeah, and that's my favorite song of all my life, I guess. That'd be the one.
I'm going to ask you, Cliff, because I don't personally believe it, but do you think this is really farewell for Smiley Bates?
Well, I'm hoping I'll be able to talk him into coming out again in a few years, because I know the fans are going to want him. They're going to be really demanding it, but it's hard to say. Smiley may say, okay, we'll go out one more time for the fans, because Smiley tried to retire 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and they called him back, and I guess since he first retired, he's done 20 albums. So he retired, I know, a couple of years ago, and they got him to do 5 albums since that, so how does he retire? They won't leave him alone. And he has to keep coming, so. But I think Smiley's pretty serious this time, I'm sure. When he says, this is it, I'm sure he means it, because we're quite close friends, and he has really sat down and talked to me about it, and he's really, really serious and sincere about retiring now, and the miles he can't handle like he used to, and I call him a million miles of country music, and I guess that's the best way to describe him. When you're on the road and he's tired, and you drive from place to place to place, and you know, you get tired of that after a while.
You seem to have a very, very high regard for Smiley Bates. What has put him on that pedestal for you?
Well, he's been my idol for years, ever since I started playing music. I like Smiley Bates. And to work with him and meet him and find out what a fine person he is in life. You know, when you drive down the highway and he'll pull over and buy you in the van, which he has no need to at all, $200 or $300 worth of lobster, $500 worth of lobster, here, have a treat for yourselves, things like that. That is very, very, you know, considered to somebody like this, and all the things he does for people, and shows you so many things, like he got me a recording contract just now, and that means a lot, you know, for somebody to go out their way to do that. So I guess I have my highest respects in regards for Smiley that any person could ever have.
Now this one, I'm going to go back to Smiley here, because I know that Smiley just released 4 new albums.
That's correct.
Where does it end?
I've been asking that question for many years. As Cliff mentioned, a long time ago, I figured I had done enough miles, walked on enough stages, and spent enough time in the country music business, but it's really so hard to just walk out and stop it, because you have so many fans that you've built up over the years, and I guess if they like you that much, it's hard to turn the fans down, right? Because some people drive miles and miles and miles to come and see a show. And I was one of the most fortunate artists, I guess, in the country music business, because I done so many records, and whatever I did right, it must have been something, because they bought a lot of them. And today, when I got a new album, they don't even ask what songs is on it. They just say, if you got a new one, they want it. And that's very unusual for an artist. Like, usually over the period of years that I've been in it, the law of average says you should have a few bad-selling records. I've never had one, so you can't be more fortunate.
After 40 years, though, can you sincerely pack up everything, Smiley, and what will you do? What will you do?
Well,
give me a picture of what you plan on doing in the next year.
Well, I have a big property up in one of the biggest tourist areas in Canada, in Muskoka. And I've tried to invent slowly, or bring about a lot of things that I could do when I quit this business. And but the question that you asked is interesting. How do you quit something you did for 40 years? I guess it's like anything else. If you like bacon and eggs, you'll always like them. And it'll never come out of your blood. And I know that every spring, I'll start thinking I should be loading the bus up and getting ready to go down the highway. And I suppose after a while you may start wondering why you're not going anywhere. But I guess you have to just decide, like, or let it slowly wear away, that you don't do that anymore.
What will make you say or feel, there, I've done enough, I've done it, it's complete?
I guess the accomplishments that I've had, the niceness of the people, how good everybody that has worked with me has been, and how much respect they've showed for me, and I guess you'd have to put it all together, because it would take all of it to make the last final part.
Canadian music at its very best. Catch us again next week as That's Fun, That's Entertainment continues to bring the very best in Canadian entertainers.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I wish I could stay forever, but I'm going to do a number to close off my part of the show for tonight. But like I said, when my part's over, the music's not over. The music goes right until your natural closing time. And I guarantee you that all my boys back here will put all the music out you want. But I'm going to do one to close off the show. Somebody said before you end, do one like you did before with 3 or 4 different notes in the flat top. So I'm going to finish off that. We'll try one this time called the Wabash Cannonball. From the great Atlantic Ocean to the wide Pacific shore, we north over mountains to the south hills by the shore. She's mighty tall and handsome, it's no wine for bottle. And her combination on the Wabash Cannonball. Always singing to jingle, rumble, and roar, as she glides along with the winds to the hills and by the shore. I should the engine and also the boat, traveling through the jungle on the Wabash Cannonball. Well, here's the daddy wax the last thing I ever spent. Long to be remembered in the course of Alabama. When the mighty winds swirl around again, the curtains rounding the fall. And that victory on the Wabash Cannonball. Always sing to jingle, rumble, and roar, as she glides along with winds through the hills and by the shore. The mighty rushes engine and lonesome old car, traveling through the jungle on the Wabash Cannonball. Traveling through the jungle on the Wabash Cannonball. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I must say it's been a pleasure entertaining you tonight. But as they say, the clock on the wall waits for nobody. Everybody's time comes to an end. It's been a pleasure being here. There's going to be lots more music. My band is going to be here until the rest of the night is over. I hope that one day, they have a saying in this business that all roads cross twice. I hope that's true between you and I. If not here, wherever it may be, I hope that one day it may happen again. Until that time, may the good Lord take a liking to you and all the roads you travel. May the sun be shining when you reach the end. This is yours truly, Smiley Bates, and good evening. Thank you very much.